This is Mitch with the 1000houses.com podcast. I'd like to thank you for joining. Today we have Ari Page of Fund and Grow. And believe me, we're going to have a very valuable conversation about credit cards and credit lines and credit withdrawals, cash advances from your credit cards. I started my career on credit cards, buying hundreds of houses with my credit cards. It was a different time and a different era, but there are many similarities going forward in what Ari can do for you. And believe, it's thinking out of the box, but it'll make perfect sense when we get done here. Hey, Ari, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on, Mitch.
Hey, so, as I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I've been vocal about it. I started my career on about 55 credit cards because I recognized a long time ago that if you applied for all the credit cards you could get your hands on, that most of them would just send you the card because you had good credit. Well, that's changed now. They have some algorithms, and I guess a bunch of people signed up for a bunch of credit cards and then got all the cash advances and then went to Mexico, right? So now they start worrying about how much you can actually get your hands on. So your credit score is kind of tied to that too. So, but I bought a lot of houses on credit cards, a lot. Give me 10,000 on this card and 10,000 on that card. That's 20 grand. I buy the house, give me 10 grand on this card. That would do the rehab. That was 1996 numbers. Okay. So when I was buying houses for a little bit of nothing down here, I did it hundreds of times. Talk to us about how Fund and Grow works and why y'all exist.
Well, in 2007, 2008 timeframe, as the market took a dive, Fund and Grow was born out of a mortgage company. So at that time, we were putting out lots of mortgages in the 2006, 2007 timeframe. And before that, for many years, we've been doing mortgages. And when this crash hit, what we found was that the more traditional forms of lending, such as mortgages, were really on the down and out at that time. And the more untraditional types of funding, like business credit and unsecured business loans, were a lot more readily available at the time. And so our team, the long and short of it is that our team retooled and we created a business funding company out of our mortgage funding or out of our mortgage company. And all of the employees were retooled and now work in getting funding. And so what we found was that the unsecured credit cards were readily being approved at the time. We were getting 50, 75, 100,000 on single credit lines. But suffice it to say that the markets have gone up, they've gone down, they've gone up, they've gone down since that period of time. And now what we're doing is we've created a membership whereby we're getting clients up to 250,000 of these types of credit cards over a 1-year period of time. One card could be 25,000. You could have a $30,000 card. You could have a $10,000 card. But what we found is without this negotiating process, without our team doing this process, and actually, people at home can do this too, by interacting with the bank, calling the bank, telling them what it is that you're doing with the funding, how you're spending this on your business, how that's going to enhance your revenue for that year, you're able to get more funding. So a lot of times we're applying for cards for customers, for business cards, and we're getting a $10,000 or $15,000 card. Then we do our negotiation process, which is what Fund and Grow is all about. And we turn that $10,000 card into a $30,000 or $40,000 card by speaking to the bank, to the underwriters, and assuring them about the person's business. And so this process is something that anybody really can do, but we specialize in doing this. And by doing it, we're able to get 50, 100,000 on each batch of cards that we apply for. So this credit card stacking process over a period of time builds a large aggregate amount of funding. And the target amount is 250,000 for each customer.
There's a stigma kind of attached to credit card debt, like it's bad, bad debt, credit card debt is bad debt. That's not true. Debt is bad, whether it's good or bad, depends on, does the credit bring in more than it costs? Does
Exactly.
The card make you money? Who cares if it's 18% annual interest? If you only have it out for 1 month and you flip a house or wholesale a house and make, 20 grand. So if you make 20 grand, you can make zero if you don't have the funding source.
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
pay 18 or 20% or whatever because you have some credit cards on the side. And so instead of making 20 grand, maybe you make, 19,200, so what?
Well, the great thing about these unsecured cards is that they actually carry an introductory interest rate. And the minimum introductory interest rate is 6 months. We've seen them as long as 22 months at 0%. And then there's wonderful services out there that allow you to take the money directly off the card, not as a cash advance, but as a purchase. And it moves the money to whatever it is that you're purchasing. If you're buying real estate, you can fund a real estate deal directly with a wire transfer off of your credit card. And so there's really easy ways of getting the money off the card that didn't even used to exist. And those ways make it, and not only for real estate, you know, we have clients in all different industries that want to pull the money off the card. And the reality is they don't just want the cash off the card. What they want is they want to purchase something. They want to purchase something that's inherently difficult to purchase with a business credit card. But the cool thing is there's just so many ways to make that happen, to facilitate it, and not as a cash advance, but as a 0% business purchase. So there's
important because sometimes the cash advance fees are 3%. And if you're talking about a lot of money, it could be a lot, you know. Also, I will agree with you. Back in the day, it was a pain in the butt to go to but I could have gotten like $450,000 on my kitchen table, but it probably would have taken me at least a week because the process was very cumbersome. You know?
Yeah, and that's really where we jump in, because we help organize that process, this card stacking process. When you're using 6, 8, 10 of these cards, you want to make sure that you understand where the 0% is on each one of these cards at any given time, and that you know how to use these cards, what bank they're from. It makes a big difference. We want to only work with unsecured funding that doesn't show up in your credit report, because it's not only good enough to get access to the funding, just like with a hard money loan, which is going to be very dangerous for you and have high interest rates. Now, are there times to use that? Of course, there could be times to use. I personally used hard money before, but I would prefer to use super low interest funding that is unsecured. That if the worst should happen, not that we're advocating for it, but if the worst should happen, it doesn't come back on you personally, and it's not going to hurt you.
Okay, so a lot of people think that's a mythical place to be, that in order to have non-recourse loans, that you have to be a big company and have had a long history. How true is that?
Well, it is true that you do need to establish your business credit in order to create corporate credit. So, but that's one of the things that Fund and Grow really excels at doing, is getting people access to business credit cards and then getting them access to non-recourse loans. So the building I'm sitting in here, where we have 65 Fund and Grow employees that come in every day, was bought completely non-recourse. And it doesn't, you know, not on me or on any other person. And this is the type of funding that we want to help all of our clients get to.
Yeah. As I stated before, I made a lot of money using credit card money. I have a private lending business, and I teach the people coming to me to borrow money for the acquisition and the rehab. It's like, you know, it helps me be into the property less if I can, you know, say like the acquisition and the rehab is 70,000. I've taught them, you just need 50 for the acquisition, you need 20 for the rehab. Why don't you get that on a 0% credit card and make it easier for me to make the loan, because we're not pushing any LTV limits now. And you pay 0% interest on 20 grand of what you need. And it makes perfect sense. And there's a lot of ways to use this card. It's not just real estate. You know, all kinds of businesses have cash flow problems between the time their products are shipped and the time they actually get paid. So,
and a big one, I don't mean to interject, Mitch, but a big one is pay-per-click. A lot of people are paying for marketing. They could be paying $50,000, $100,000 a month for their pay-per-click marketing with YouTube, with Google, with Facebook. And a lot of businesses that we're working with, they don't know how to spend that. They don't know how to pay for that. You know, $50,000, $100,000 up front seems like a big deal. But if you're putting that in and then you're getting, you know, five times that, you know, return, easily, this is a no-brainer. So we have clients that are coming to us that are trying to fund their ad spend. And that's one thing that the credit cards work really well for.
Okay, that's right. Fund and Grow's been around a long time, and you're doing better than you've ever done, right? Because this is not some kind of cockamamie idea. It's been in the works for how long?
We've been doing this since 2006, 2007. And really before then, we were doing it just hourly. We were charging hourly to do it.
So you're breaking records in your company now. I mean, I think you told me before the call that you're loaning out, you know, 18 million last month or in November, and then now you're on your path to 21 million or something this month.
Yep. In September, actually, we hit 18 million, and
Okay, September.
October and November, we have hit over 21 million in both of those months. And so what we're talking about here is the amount of loans that we're setting up that are 0% unsecured loans for our clients. So that's not the revenue we're making. I'm not trying to be braggadocious, although we are essentially applying for a job. We do want your students to hire us to do this job for them. So I don't mean to be braggadocious. Yeah, we do want to talk about this credit though, because this is a lot of funding. Like before the pandemic, we had hit levels like 15, 16 million a month. And now here we are after, where a lot of people believe that the pandemic is kind of winding down. And now we're reaching 21 million plus a month. And we're on track to do more than that this month. We're hoping to hit 22 million this month.
Wow, good job. So what kind of credit score is expected before you can help a person?
Well, we like it when a client comes to us with 720s, but because we live in the real world, not everybody has a 720s credit score. And so if someone has credit blemishes, we can help them and work with them, but they're not going to get credit within the first 30 to 60 days like an average client that doesn't have a credit problem would. And so if someone has credit blemishes or issues, those items can be deleted. They can be expunged. They can be removed from the credit report. We've seen it so often. And there's a credit repair company that we work with that the reason why we refer to them specifically is because we want to see the client, if the client's working with us, we want to see them come back to us fast. If they have a negative item on their credit report and it takes 2 months to get it off, that's 2 months that we weren't able to move them forward and get them funding. And so when we're referring to this credit repair company that we work with, we're doing it knowing that this client's going to come back to us really, really quickly. And there's many cases where we're able to move forward, even if there is a blemish on one of the 3 bureaus, where we're able to move forward for cards that will only look at one of the other bureaus. And I just want to preface that by saying that the banks do want to look at your personal credit, but this credit does not report to your personal credit. It reports to the EIN number of your business.